Hey, Jesse Paculite here on Q101, joined right now by Dylan Playfair. What's happening, man?
Hey man, living the dream. How you doing?
Pretty good, buddy. So Dylan Playfair, former Merritt Centennial. This is just to catch up with him, and he's actually doing quite well for himself, getting into the acting gig. Latest notch on his resume. Gaston's son in Descendants 2.
Yeah, man, I've had a pretty wild and unpredictable journey leading up to Merritt, and since I left, I went from playing hockey with you guys, not very well as my stats will show. Real dressing room guy, real hardworking guy, real grinder, not real good hands, and I couldn't find the net as easily as I would have hoped. But yeah, man, it's been really, really cool to go from playing hockey and moving out to Vancouver when I was 19. Actually, Sylvan Harper's family was the first connection to the acting world that I had. So Merritt has been a very, very big part of my life and my success after hockey. So I hold the time I spent there very dearly, and the people I met were some of the best people I know.
Yeah, I think right from the get-go you had the charisma, too. I mean, you were a fan favorite here, despite the stats, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I came into the league knowing that I wasn't going to be a point guy, but I was anticipating, more than 0 goals, 1 assist. That said, I enjoyed, going the corners and playing hard-nosed hockey and doing the things that I had from experience, known to help a dressing room and tried to lead by example as much as I could in as many ways as I could. And one of those was, trying to be involved in the community as much as possible. Got to work at Skalula and ran some of the spring camp stuff, and really, like I said, enjoyed my time there and had a great relationship with the community. So to be one of the fan favorites was absolutely icing on the cake. It was a pretty awesome couple of years.
Yeah, do you have a memory that sticks out at all with your time in Merritt, like as far as being on the hockey team or just from the time being in the city?
Yeah, I mean, I worked at Skalula, right? So I'd wake up every morning, 6 a.m., go grind it out for a couple hours at the mill, and then come to work, and go to practice. So that was a very, very Canadian experience that absolutely resonated with me, and I felt like I was earning it. Going from the mill to practice to whatever it was after practice, hanging out with the boys. But I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The community was awesome with setting us up with those jobs, and that's some of the greatest people at school as well. So I'd say that would probably be one of my better memories is working at that place with the Merchuk and who's all there? Is me, Zimmer, Wally, I think Tricera. Yeah, Tricera was there too. So we had a good group of guys that would have fun every morning.
So you had a pretty good authentic Merritt experience then.
Oh yeah, I went deep, as they say. I was very much fishing in the river behind the Pearsons' place, Luke's parents' house. I stayed with them for the first half of the season. Got in lots of fishing, got in lots of backcountry bogging around, and I think I might have even ridden a horse or two. So I very much dove in deep to the Merritt experience.
Nice. You catch any big ones? What was the biggest one you caught?
I think I caught a salmon that was pretty red, so that would have been the biggest fish I had. Catch and release, of course, but I think I pulled like a 9 or 10 pound salmon out of there one year, which is pretty fun.
That one fight at all for you?
Yeah, it was dead weight, but enough to get my adrenaline going. I'm more of a trolling kind of guy. I like to sit back and be able to drink beer while I'm fishing.
Right.
And the river requires sobriety as well as patience, which are two things that at that particular time I wasn't practicing. I was fishing in the summer, so I had some wiggle room.
Well,
the whole trolling thing's more my forte.
Yeah, it's all about just having a cold one on the boat, man.
That's exactly what it was, And I was 19 at the time.
Right.
So you wondering, of course. It was my second year.
Talking with Dylan Playfair today, former Merritt Centennial. But whether you're a kid, you're probably thinking, when are you going to ask him? And if you're closer to my age, you're probably thinking the same thing. When are you going to ask him? But the thing is, it's about two different things. Kids are thinking about his time with YTV. People closer to my age, they're thinking about his time with Letterkenny. We're going to get to that right now. I mean, I mentioned Descendants 2, but I didn't mention the big one that a lot of us around town are loving. That's Letterkenny, man. And Season 3 actually gets going this Saturday. I'll give you a plug there.
Thank you. Yeah, it's coming on the pipe, and the boys at the production office there, they've been really smart with their releases. I think we've had Canada Day releases for the last 3 seasons, which is very fitting, being the show so Canadian. But it's our first winter season, which is a little bit. I kind of poke fun at Game of Thrones with our ads. We've got the winter is coming stuff going on, but it's cool because in the first 2 seasons, so much of the stuff was out of the rink and interacting with all the tribes in the show. But in this season, it's pretty much all in the world of the hockey players. All of our interactions are with the team, and all of the farmers' interactions are with the farmers, and it's cool. I think the fans are going to get a much more in-depth view into the worlds of the individual units that we all run in. So it's going to be fun. We had a lot of fun this year.
So there should be some more Riley and Jonesy.
Lots of Riley and Jonesy. I'll give a little spoiler here, not too much, not enough to get me in trouble, but we graduate to Senior A hockey, which is pretty hilarious, and then with that comes some pretty good beats with those guys. We get a couple new players in there, and we pull our socks up a little bit. So we have quite the journey, and it's a very the hockey people will understand a lot of the humor. Right.
So you gain respect to some of those vets on your team finally.
Yeah, we got to do some things. We got to pull some of our own weight, which we're not used to doing. For the fans of the show, they understand we're some real slackers. But in this next season, I think we make a little bit of a turn and understand a little bit more character.
Well, I can't wait, man. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the show. Love the show. It's hilarious. So I'm looking forward to this Saturday big time. And speaking of Letterkenny, would you say that you see some similarities in the town Letterkenny that you did see when you used to play here in Merritt?
Well, there is no coincidence that I played in Merritt first. The character is definitely informed by that time. The similarities would honestly be the amount of fun that people have on that set. I mean, I've been really lucky. I've done a lot of film and TV since I started, but I've never been on a set that has as much fun as Letterkenny. I mean, we were buddies, and we had the same sense of humor, and we were playing around on YouTube, and it really snowballed. So that energy that existed on the set when it was just the buddies, the network, Bell Media and Crave TV, they obviously want us to be like that. They want us loose, they want us having fun, they want us joking around. So we have a ton of fun. It really is similar to a dressing room in a lot of ways, which I think is why this show plays the way it does, why people feel so close to it, and why they understand it so clearly.
Yeah, I have to, I guess, thank the creators for what they gave us, because really it's my beer league team that kind of got me on it. They were asking me, have you seen this show? And we pass it around the dressing room, and my first introduction was that cold open to season 1, and I was on the floor, so I was all in as soon as I saw that.
I'm glad to hear that, man. Yeah, we Jacob Tierney and Jerry Kiso and the folks at Bell and Crave and New Metric. I mean, it's Jerry Kiso's brainchild. It's his vision, but they definitely encourage it and ask him to go as far down the rabbit hole as he can. And the freaking jokes we have on there, man.
Yeah,
come from the depths of a beer league dressing room, that's for sure.
No doubt, man. And, I've come to learn some new slang terms just watching that show.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take any credit for some of the terms that was used on the show, or is it mostly kind of just Kiso and Tierney that do that work?
Oh, that's a real hybrid of everyone. I mean, the time spent on that beer league team I was talking about was, I think Jared has taken notes, to be honest with you, because I used to grill all the time. I was a big, deep, bear down, guys. That was my go-to line for most of junior, and still stuck around for beer league. So in the next season, you see a lot of dig deep, bear down. You see a lot of. I don't even know if I can drop half the things we say on a interview. I mean, I'm trying to think of the chirps that they've actually used that I inspired, and yeah, all of them are X-rated. So
yeah, there's quite a few of them.
Look, yeah, you gotta if you want to hear all the awesome chirps, watch the show, and those of you who played hockey will see a couple of them for sure later.
Can you recall what was the best chirp that you received from another player in the BCHL?
The best chirp I ever received from another player.
Or the most witty or creative?
The wittiest. You know what? Honestly, I feel bad 'cause I keep wanting to rope back to the beer league thing because there's one chirp that sticks out, and this guy goes, nice flow. I go, they pay me to look this way, and he goes, do they pay you to play hockey that way too? Yeah, they have twice. Google me. I get back to the bench, and Jared's sitting there going, did you just tell that guy to Google you? And I realized how bad taste that chirp was, and the icing on the cake was we played him the next day, and he skates out to line. It's beer league, right? It's pretty low key hockey, but skates out and he lines up next to me. He goes, "I did Google you. I love your show, Knox." I was thinking he was going to see Letterkenny, right? And he sees all the Disney YTV.
Yeah. So Knox, he mentions. So that's from Some Assembly Required. I got to ask you about YTV. As a kid, I assume in Canada you grew up watching YTV. How cool was that an experience just to be part of that channel?
It was so cool that when that chirp landed, I wasn't even offended. It's been a dream for a long time. I had two actual very clear dreams. One was to play in the BCHL, and one was to be on a YTV show. And I couldn't make that up, man. It was two things that happened early on in my life that was like pretty awesome to be able to do those two things close together. So, yeah, it was a total dream come true. It was a really cool part of my life to go from playing hockey and doing what I love to transitioning to that, fairly quickly. I think it was about 3 years from the time I left Merritt to the time I was on set for that.
Yeah, when did that start? When did you become interested in acting as well? You mentioned that was two of your goals, to be on a YTV show and play in the BCHL. How early was that? Did you know that you wanted to be an actor after hockey?
That was kind of the plan I had. I'd seen actors that had come from athletics, and I figured, if I could get schooling out of hockey or have a pro career, athletics is one of the things where at 30 you're kind of reaching the end of your career, where the rest of the world, 30 is still really, really young, right? So in my mind, I was going to play till I was that age, and then I was going to start acting. And it's funny that the unanswered prayers thing is, thank God for unanswered prayers. It's truer now more now than ever, because I wanted so badly to be a skilled player, but thank God I wasn't, because after that year in Merritt, it was pretty obvious that I wasn't going to be a pro player. If I was going to be a really, really gritty, tough guy, and it just wasn't something that I saw longevity in. So, I made the transition, but it was funny. It was one of those things that I thought I really wanted, and when it ended up not being the path I took, I kind of made lemonade out of lemons, and I followed Taylor Kitsch's path. Actually, Taylor Kitsch had I believe he played against Luke Pierce when they were in the BCHL, and he'd made the transition. He was in Friday Night Lights at the time, and I just saw his career, and I saw a lot of similarities between the two of us, and talked to Sylvan Harper, found out his dad was in the industry, and the next thing I knew, I was working as a PA for Sylvan Harper's dad.
You were asking questions, and it led to doors being opened.
Absolutely, that's what it was.
That's good. That's good advice, too, for anybody that does have dreams out there to make it to the BCHL or acting.
Absolutely. And you know what? Hockey sets, any athletic sport, if you can set yourself up to pursue goals and to work harder than other people on the ice to win games, you start to learn these things that are really intangible life skills. And I'll be the first one to admit that I am where I am today because of what I learned playing hockey.
You learned playing hockey, and that gave you the tools that you needed, I guess, to succeed in life, too.
100%. I'm still young. I'm still, I'm not quite yet calling it a successful life, but
right.
Absolutely, I'm absolutely feeling really, really happy and really confident with where I am, and what hockey did for that, and you start to see those things pan out when you have the perspective of looking back. I just turned 25, so
happy belated birthday, buddy.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah.
Actually, your birthday was a day after mine, man. We both had kind of milestones. You got to your silver year, and I got to a point where I am no longer a man in my 20s.
Oh, wow, you're the big 3-0.
That's it, man.
I still feel young like that, right? Like, that's the thing. And could you imagine being told that you're, getting to the end of the career at 30? It's like,
yeah.
That's too young.
That's one of the sacrifices you make in radio, too, it's kind of on the opposite spectrum. When you get into hockey or athletics like that, your career will end very early. But if you get into radio like me, you're probably going to be doing it till the day you die. I mentioned some of those slang terms that I heard Donnybrook for the first time, and for some reason that one just made me laugh so hard. And you were mentioning that, if you did see a future in hockey, it was going to be a bunch of Donnybrooks that you would get into. And I did do some reading up on this, and I was reading about your real fight, your last real fight. Are you still buddies with that Austin fella, your first fight partner?
You know what? We're Facebook friends, and if we were to cross paths on the street, I can guarantee a beer would be had. We'd sit down and shoot the old times. But he's living in Calgary now, so I haven't seen him in years. But it's funny, man. Like, us Canadians, we're a different breed, man.
Right.
As soon as that tilt was over, we were buddies.
Yeah.
That's all it took. As soon as the tilly was over, we were pals, and we were pals for the rest of high school. And to this day, if I were to see him, we'd be on good terms. So another skill I learned from hockey. Once it's over, it's over. You shake hands and you have a drink after the game.
That's right. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, this was his first real fight, and that was back in the school days where everybody gathered around and they were waiting for the fight to happen. You had a spot to meet, you had a time to meet, and you described it as the guy was just smiling the whole time. And after it was all over, both of you bloody, and you guys just high-five each other and friends.
It was a weird thing to go through. Like you said, it was my first time ever being hit in the face real hard. My first time ever hitting someone else in the face. And, once you go through something like that together, there's a bond that can't be broken.
No doubt about it, man. The Canadian bond. And more good advice, too, for the kids. Like, if you want to make friends for life, get into a scrap.
Yeah, that's it. That's just it.
Okay, we don't want you coming anymore.
Too distracting for the boys.
What? It's just too distracting?
For the boys.
Well, guess I'll have to find one of your teammates to dibs my digits.
But we did those digits!
Just a clip from the show Letterkenny, which you can start watching again this Saturday on Canada Day. Season 3 gets going, and we're talking with one of the guys, Dylan Playfair. Joining us on the show today, he's actually a former Merritt Centennial as well. Had a life in hockey, and a big part of that was because of his dad and his family and their involvement in hockey. His dad, a coach in the NHL, former head coach of the Calgary Flames, actually. So you got to figure there had to be some sort of inner pressure in him to succeed in hockey with such a famous dad. Your father, Jim Playfair, had a lot of time in the NHL. Now, as a kid, did you feel any inner pressure at all to succeed in hockey?
You know what? I just, because I grew up around the game, I just loved the world of a dressing room. I love the world of hockey, and my dad was always really, really adamant that none of us kids felt pressured to play the game. And when we ended up having the conversation about potentially, leaving hockey, it was really supportive on his end. He was very much of the mindset of, play the game till you don't feel you're in love with it anymore, and then leave, because if you get to a place where you resent it, it's, for him, he says, that's my failure. He's like, this game is an amazing, special thing, and it's been really good for our family, and it's been really good for you, and I want you to play it till you're an old man. And if that means, you stop in your 20s, then so be it. But don't ever resent it for whatever reason. And I took that as, if you want to pursue acting, do it. And I did, and I still play beer league to this day. I still love watching hockey. I still love playing ball hockey. And
right, and you're still in the beer leagues.
Yeah, and I attribute that to my dad, saying, if you don't wake up every morning and you're itching to get to the rink, then don't play, because that's how I feel. And he was saying that's how he feels, and he's an NHL coach. And he goes, that's the only way you're going to love the game forever, if you have fun doing it. So I still have fun doing it.
Yeah. Well, thank God for those beer leagues, man. That's how I can still play hockey. I was never good enough. It's just a bunch of dudes or gals. Maybe they're not the best, but it's just a way to get together.
Hey, man, it's community, it's friendship, it's activity. It's all I actually reffed Chad DeLue, got me hooked up with reffing the beer league in Merritt. So.
Oh, really?
I was pretty familiar with the boys who play beer league out here, so I spent a lot of time in the stripes.
Oh, wow. So former Merritt beer league referee as well.
Yeah, I wore a lot of hats when I lived in Merritt. Open a lot of gates, too.
Those beta blockers really helped you up your explosive potential, bro.
Muscular endurance, muscular strength, bro.
Really working those fast twitch muscle fibers, buddy.
Isokinetic exercise really tested lactic threshold, buddy.
You gonna come watch us play with intensity tomorrow?
Yeah, I could do that.
Wheel snipe Sally, boys. Angles, boys.
Ninja dust.
Another little snippet there from Riley and Jonesy, the hockey players on Letterkenny, with their former girlfriend, the Rocket, Wayne's sister, talking with Dylan Playfair today on Q101. We touched on your family, like we were talking about your father. Your brothers are also really good at hockey, too. They both made it to the WHL. Out of your two brothers, who's the best Playfair? Who plays the fairest?
I'll tell you that right now. Austin plays the fairest. He's the most, I guess, loving would be the word, of the three of us. Jackson's definitely the toughest and meanest. I wouldn't want to go up against Jackson. He's built like a brick house. But Austin this year decided to leave hockey and pursue fashion. So he actually got accepted into Blanche McDonald, which is one of the most prestigious fashion schools in the country. And he got fast-tracked. He wrecked his shoulder at the beginning of the year in a fight. And he's so tall, he started tailoring his clothes. And he was really good at it. And he started giving some of his clothing to his buddies. He's buddies with Austin Matthews, so gave him some tailored stuff. And the next thing he knew, he went to my dad and kind of said the same thing. He goes, I'm really good at this sewing thing. I really like it, and I want to pursue it. So he took his Western League scholarship, and he starts fashion school at Blanche McDonald in August. And Jackson is he aged out last year, and he's just going into his second year at Dalhousie University. So he's hitting the books too. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Wow, that is cool. So yeah, you never really know when that passion will hit, I guess. So your brother just discovered that, hey, he's into fashion, and now he's going for it.
Yeah, and he learned it through hockey. It's funny how this keeps moving back to the game, but he got into it because his friggin' legs were too thick for all his pants. As anyone who's gotten really into hockey understands, you do a lot of squatting and whatnot, and none of your friggin' pants fit. And he had to tailor a bunch of them, and then he started doing it for his buddies who were in the show, because he's out for 6 months, right? He wrecked his shoulder, and he got really good at it. And he got so good at it that he saw what I was doing, and he gave me a call, and he goes, is this something that you think I could do? I'm like, if you love it, if you wake up and you want to sew, then do it, man. And so that's what he's up to. So the last Playfair in our clan that's still grinding on the hockey dream is Jackson. So if there's any hope, it lies in him, number 28.
We're the biggest Pantene pros in the league.
Mixing some big minutes for a couple of sticking pucksters. You guys don't give a about winning. You just like the hockey player lifestyle. You're posers.
Gutty. Yeah, a little gutty. It's a little gutty.
Another small clip for you there from Letterkenny, which gets going again this Saturday. Season 3 Canada Day release over on Crave TV. Insanely easy to get Crave TV. Dylan's going to tell us all about that coming up in just a little bit. And right now we got more talking about Austin Playfair. The other Playfair who was into hockey, now he's into another industry. It's not acting, it's fashion. Austin, I guess you mentioned buddies with Austin Matthews, and I guess we heard it here. He's the one responsible for putting together the suit that we saw Austin Matthews at the draft.
Well, there you go. I bet you gave him style tips. I don't want to go out of my boundaries, because I'm sure the actual designer would be super unhappy with me, but I would bet you Austin Playfair had something to say about it. Austin Matthews is a pretty stylish kid, though. I've seen the two Austins together. They're lady killers, man. They're dangerous.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And I am loving that. I don't mind at all. I'm a huge Leafs fan. Love the Leafs, so I'm loving Austin Matthews too.
Well, I can say out loud now that I too am a massive Leafs fan. I used to be a big fan of Arizona, but you can't get behind that bandwagon anymore after the events of the last 12 hours. So you get on Twitter, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Actually, you know what? I should say something on that too. Those guys, Arizona was amazing to our family, and that ended on very mutual terms. And I know my dad's really excited about what's next for him. So the whole family is in a transition period, going on to new things, and it's cool to be doing that together.
Okay, so Jim's actually he's looking for a new gig then.
Yep, Jim Playfair and Dave Tippett are on the coaching market. So if you know of any teams looking for bench minders, you got 2 on the market.
Marley's.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'll let him know. I'll send him a text now.
Knox! I've been trying to call you!
Sorry, bro. You're supposed to turn your cell phone off when you're on an airplane.
You're also supposed to use a seatbelt! And a seat!
Some assembly required clip right there for you kids. Jesse Paculat with you this afternoon talking with Dylan Playfair, who was the star as Knox on Some Assembly Required on YTV. He was a former Merritt Centennial, and he's playing in Letterkenny, and Season 3 gets going this Saturday. How did he meet Jared Kiso, the creator of Letterkenny? Let's find that out right now. You mentioned that you guys in the beer league, that's where you kind of came up with the banter and stuff like that. Is that where you first met Jared?
I first met Jared, yeah, that's actually where it was. He'd worked at a bar that I ended up working at as well, and I was production assistant work, which is the work that Sylvan's dad got me. From there, I made a beer league team, and then from there, I got working at this bar, and then got into another beer league team, and that was where I met Jared, and I told him what I was up to, and he had played junior in Ontario as well, and he was at that time a very successful actor. He'd already done the Don Cherry movies. He was doing Godzilla. Like he was really killing it. And he just said, I see a lot of myself in you. So he introduced me to his agent, who ended up signing me fairly quickly. So I owe a lot of the success I've had to Jared, actually.
What a good guy.
Oh, great guy.
Insanely funny too. Love the show, and it's been great catching up with you, man. Letterkenny, Season 3, getting going on Canada Day, of course, on Crave TV. Hey, how easy is it to get Crave TV? Should I let you do this?
Boys. It's $8. For the love of God, if I hear one more time the pal tell me that they love the show but they haven't seen it, I'm going to drop mitts. I swear to God. $8. Get off your wallet, boys. I know we've all got $8. Sorry, I had to plug it that way because I get so many of the old boys from back home. But hey man, where can I download this thing? I'm like, you can't ask me that kind of stuff. That's like asking the store clerk if you can just take the pot without paying for it.
Yeah, what are they thinking?
I don't know. Figure it out. $8. Figure it out.
Figure it out, boys. Exactly, man.
Yeah, man. No, it's awesome. It's a month free trial there in the beginning, and I will be honest with you guys. It's pretty damn good. Good service. There's lots of pretty funny stuff on there. They've got South Park, they got our show, they got 19-2, so...
They even got Seinfeld.
Even Seinfeld. Get the free trial. See for yourself.
Exactly. That's Crave TV. And great way to start. You get a free month trial as well. That's this Saturday, Canada Day, and that's Letterkenny Season 3. Dylan, man, it's been great catching up with you. Thanks for coming on the show today to talk with us.
Oh, my God, my pleasure. Thank you so much for reaching out. I'm glad to reconnect with the Rit.
Thank you, buddy.
You bet. We'll talk to you later.
And there's Dylan Playfair, former Merritt Centennial, current cast member of Letterkenny. He's going to be in Disney. Dude's on his way, so thanks to him for taking some time to talk with us today. Good kid, too, polite kid, hard worker, and plenty of more I could have discussed with him as well. So we'll look at getting Dylan Playfair on again, maybe, down the line at some point right here on Q101.